You never really know you're going to go down that spiritual path. I have a background in law enforcement, so that was my career. That was my life. My passion has always been with spirit and mediumship to be able to bring through that healing for the people. I thought, am I crazy? Like, what's happening? Why am I seeing this old man standing and just staring at me? As a medium, you can channel any and all types of frequencies. It's amazing that people just get drawn to you. You can come in not knowing anything, but you leave a medium.
Welcome back, everybody. Today's guest, Erica Barretto, is one of my favorite psychic mediums I've had on the show. She used to be in law enforcement, so you know we love that little hop, skip, and a jump from working in that kind of space to the woo-woo. So I'm pumped to have her on. Get ready. Stay tuned. We're going to dive right in. Erica, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here.
Just a little backstory for the audience here. So I have been following Erica on Instagram for a hot minute now and totally have been geeking out. She posts these really, really cool intuitive exercises, and it like really makes you kind of like tap in, breathe, take a moment and just see if you can like come up with a great guess. And I actually get them quite a bit of time, but I love that like right at the end, there's like a little reveal and you kind of know if you're like in tune or not. And it's pretty cool. I love doing that kind of stuff. So if you are not following her on Instagram, run, don't walk. Her link is going to be below in the description area, so you can go follow along. But Erica is an amazing psychic medium, and so I'd love just to learn a little bit about you and what got you interested in the field.
Yeah. So just like I think a lot of people who come across on this journey, it comes up like a surprise, right? You never really know you're going to go down that spiritual path. For me, I have a background in law enforcement, so that was my career, that was my life. And I thought that was it, right? You have a pension, you know you're locked in for a certain amount of years, so you focus on that end point and you're like, that's it. But for me, life kind of threw me a little curveball, and I ended up going down the spiritual path because just like life felt like it was collapsing for me, and I was just like, there's something more here, and led me down the path of trying to figure out what is life, what is there, how much is it that I don't know, right? How much of life is it that I don't understand? So I just went around that entire concept and into the rabbit hole. Death was a very big thing for me. I was terrified of it. I was getting very big surgery. So I was like, this is a possibility that I can actually go to the other side. So let's figure out what happens when you're over there. So led me there. But I was always very intuitive since I was a kid. My grandmother is actually a medium herself. She was a palm reader. So it kind of runs in the family, but a lot of things to work around. But eventually for me, just being a truth seeker, trying to find out what is this, what happens to the soul when we cross over. So that's what led me down that path. And I've always felt like I needed to know so much, and I also wanted to teach whatever I knew. So it kind of led me down that path of just diving deeper and into the world of mediumship. So that's how I started.
Wow. I love that you have the historical background in your family too. That's so cool. It's pretty rare that, especially nowadays, like when someone's into woo-woo stuff, it's like, where did it come from? And it's so rare that it's like, oh, it actually runs in the family or whatever. So I always love that lineage line. Is there a particular area? Obviously, this is such a broad spectrum, right? I saw on your site you're doing tarot card readings. You do intuitive things. Is there a particular area that you like love the most that you focus on?
I absolutely love mediumship. And intuition together. I feel like those two are definitely needed when it comes to this work, because without the foundations of understanding your intuition, you wouldn't know what mediumship is, because it does go hand in hand to understand the abilities. But for me, my passion has always been with spirit and mediumship to be able to bring through that healing for the people. And it's an important thing. It's very sacred work. So I love to do readings for people, but I also love to teach people people how to do it themselves because I think everybody should know that you can do this too. It's not something that is chosen for particular people, but everybody can do it. And I think that's so important. And I'm always pushing that out there. So that's where I like to focus on.
I love that call out. You mentioned obviously that you're originally on this law enforcement path. So much of my audience, and of course my background is military, and so the space that I'm in now, and the space that you're in now, is so polar opposite from that military space or the law enforcement space. But did you find that when you were in the law enforcement space that actually helped you with your intuition? Like you were really tapped in anyway, doing the work that you were doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it did. I always just had this knowing. For me, it was just the immediate knowing and that feeling, that gut feeling like, oh, something's going to happen here today. I need to really be on my P's and Q's. I would, very, very good with like feeling out people, the energy, just knowing things. And, yeah, I definitely feel like it helped me. It prepared me a lot. Also looking at things from a non-judgmental viewpoint and perspective, that is definitely something that you need to do as far as the law enforcement, right? You have to have this neutral view of things. So it helped me a lot with personal and also with my intuitive like teachings now. So yeah, it definitely helped.
Wow. Are there any particular factors, if someone's like, "Oh my gosh, this sounds really interesting. I want to get into it." Is there any particular factors that you would lean on or tell someone to focus on as they're trying to maybe start exploring getting into this space?
Oh, absolutely. One thing I always tell like my students is a lot of the spiritual work that we do, especially when we are trying to learn about the clairs, that's like the first step that I think is very important to understand that we have these inner senses that are very similar to our outer senses. So it's understanding that foundation of how to put that together, but also the personal development side of things, right? We're developing our emotional side, our spiritual side, and just putting that together. But absolutely understanding the clairs, understanding those feelings, those emotions, and how we can sense things outside of our regular point of view. So that's definitely a place where I always tell them to start off.
What are the clairs? Because I'm like, what are the clairs over here?
Oh, yeah, the clairs, we have clairvoyance. Clairvoyance is where you're gonna see through your mind's eye. You have clairsentience, which is one I tell people to always lean on because everybody can feel. And I actually just did a video about aphantasia, which is something that people have where they actually cannot visualize things in their mind. They can't imagine things in their mind, and it's wild. But yes, people have that ability to not do that. So I always tell people focus on your clairsentience because we all have feelings. We all have that gut feeling. So you have your clairsentience, you have claircognizance, which is that clear knowing, that drop in thought, instant, no second guessing. You have clairalience, which is your ability to smell things that nobody else can smell. Clairgustance, which is your tasting, that inner taste of tasting, like, oh, I'm tasting a candy or something, but I haven't had it in so long. And it reminds you of somebody. So you have that. And you have clairtangency, which is touching, feeling, being in a space that has historical value where you're able to really sense and feel the energy of what occurred there, right? And a lot of that can get tied to feeling what some people would go into the paranormal space and be like, this place is haunted. You're literally feeling the imprint of what happened in that space because we have that ability. It's like an imprint, a timestamp in time that just keeps repeating and looping. So it's like energy, frequency, and just understanding those particular clairs will really get you to start off. And your clair audience, which is my favorite one, you hear in your mind, and this could be tricky for people because they'll think they're going crazy, right? You will hear your own voice mostly, and it's not you, it's your voice, but it's almost talking to you as you should do this and you should do that, but it's very subtle, so it's hard to understand it. And music. Spirit loves to communicate in music. They will give us all types of little messages and things through music. So I love clairaudience. That's actually my favorite clair. But those are like the basics.
Thank you. And also, one of the things I just saw recently online was the people who can see sound, like sound waves. It was synesthesia or something, I think it's called. I that one I thought was just so wild. just the different ways that things show up for people. It's just amazing what the brain can do and what the mind can do. So fantastic. In terms of like how you go about teaching your students, so you do like online stuff. I think you do like Zoom, like one on one. You do all kinds of things. So tell me a little bit about your offerings.
So I offer things through Zoom online because it's obviously you can reach so many people online, right? I mean, I teach people in New Zealand, Australia. So
Wow.
I have a big, broad space of students that I teach. And it's offered online because it's easier that way. And I think it's just great because you get to meet so many different people from all over the place. So I teach all levels of mediumship and a psychic and intuition course as well. So
Wow. Are there any particular cases that you've had that stand out, that are even mind blowing for you being in this space?
what do you mean by cases?
Like interactions that you've had with clients of yours or students, where there's been something profound that's happened?
Um, I want to say it's always profound. The one thing that I feel everybody has different experiences, so I try to lean in and try to see where they are good at. But as far as like understanding, I think that everybody has had some type of experience with this work, whether it be from them being a child up until now. But the one thing that I find that is kind of like, I want to say like profound is that everybody is very in tune. Either they are dreaming things, they are just knowing things, but they all just kind of end up in the same space and it's all like a pull, right? So I don't know how to really explain profound, but for me, everything for me is profound. Like, I'm just like, it's amazing that we could even do this work. It's amazing that people just get drawn to you and just are like, wow, you're the one that I think is going to teach me. So, as far as like breakthroughs for them, I have people who come to me who have never even done mediumship. They come in scared to death. They're like, oh, spirits, oh my God, it's evil. I don't know. I'm scared because they come from different backgrounds, different beliefs, and they leave mediums. So that's profound, right? They leave mediums being able to make that communication. And for me, that's like amazing. So that is profound that you can come in not knowing anything, but you leave a medium. It's really
Wow.
beautiful.
One of the things I've always been curious about, and I'd love to get your take on it, as especially as kids, like we're so afraid of the dark, and it seems like, especially as kids, we kind of have like a heightened sense. What is your take on that? Like, what is being scared of the dark, and what do you think might be really going on there?
My goodness, it's so funny you talking about this because I had this conversation yesterday and I actually have a younger son who I've had to walk through this. He's very sensitive as well. So the thing is, by the age of 7, like before then, we have this keen sense of awareness. Children are in this state of like theta brainwave. That's just how they are up until about the age of 8. And then they start going into the societal norms of trying to fit in, and it's just it just changes for them logically in their mind, but they are always in this state of awareness where they can pick up things in that theta state, and their ability to pick up on the sensitivities is very heightened. And it could be scary, right? It could be scary. You can feel things, you see things, and it's just they're always in this imaginative state. And for us, I think that's what we have to go back to in order for us to really connect and experience the spirit world. Is you have to bring that sense of joy, that sense of presence. And children are always present. They don't, experience this sense of anxiety of what they have to do in a week and a month from now. They're always here right now. And I think that's the difference between a child having that sensitivity and an adult, right? Because we're always worried about things, and their awareness of just being in that moment is what makes them so sensitive. And being scared of the dark, I mean, I was terrified as a kid. I used to see spirits all the time, just like we're looking at each other right now, and it would terrify me, and I wouldn't know how to explain this to people. I thought, am I crazy? Like, what's happening? Why am I seeing this old man standing and just staring at me? Why am I seeing this little girl running out the closet? Like, it was scary. Constantly covering myself up in the blanket, I would hear things. I had imaginary friends. So there was a lot there, but I think the awareness and present is the difference between a child and being in that state versus us.
Wow, that's actually pretty profound. I think even as I've been learning a little bit more about spirituality, just the theme of being present and like being mindful of the here and now and kind of slowing down to clear your mind. That's kind of like the common theme across all of spirituality, and it's just so important to basically like clear the path for communication and connection and interaction with the spirit space around us. So love the reinforcement there. One of the questions that I also have come to mind here is just around the space of communication with our loved ones, our ancestors, even those that are just passing through. What does that show up like for you? Is that you hearing yourself, or is there? You just mentioned that you've physically seen spirits before in your past. Like, is that kind of how they show up now, or how are they coming to you on a regular basis?
So for me, I my all of my clairs are very heightened. So everything as a medium, it all kind of comes together. But my very first clair is that sense of feeling and presence. I will feel them, and once I feel them, then I start to see them. They will give me bits and pieces of their face. I might see an apparition of them standing in front of me, and then bloop, they kind of disappear. But if there's certain things that stand out very prominently, like a birthmark, a missing tooth, a scar on the face, or maybe they're showing me their hands, jewelry, maybe they liked bright lipstick. Like they will show me things that's very evidential where I could say, hey, did dad have a missing tooth? And did he also have a scar above his eye? Because I feel like this is what he's showing me, but this is very unique. And I feel like you would understand that. So this is where whoever I'm reading for is like, oh my goodness, yes, like, yes. And it's very evidence based, the mediumship that I do. And you're able to really understand things in a sense of, I'm not able to Google that. How would I know certain things, right? So it's just bringing that awareness that there is this consciousness that we are connecting to give you this proof of the life after life. But they do show up for me in many ways. I can hear music. I hear them singing sometimes. I will hear them coughing, or I can feel their pain as well if they had some sort of like illness or something in the body. So it shows up in so many different ways in different readings. And it's just depending upon the spirit, really, because they're just people, right? I mean, they're spirits on the other side, but they have their own energy, their own sense of how they communicate. So it's up to however they communicate with me. And that's how I present that information to whoever I'm reading for.
I took a class, I don't know, a couple months ago in Los Angeles, and it was my first time ever taking it seriously to be like, I'm actually going to go like take a serious class. And we had this exercise. It was with this fabulous woman named Wendy, and she had us. We partnered up with people we'd never met before, and she said, "Okay, take out your phone, find a photo of someone you're close to. Don't tell your partner anything about them, and they can be alive or not, and show the photo to them." And you had like 5 minutes to write impressions down from the photo and then show it to your partner to see if you hit the mark. So this woman had shown me a photo of this young girl, and it was literally just like a torso up photo. And my exercise was to just write down all the impressions that came through about this girl torso up. Her hands were not in the photo, which will be relevant here in a second. So as I'm going through, I'm like just kind of being judgy almost, where I'm like, oh, she looks like she plays volleyball. You know what? I'm getting soccer too. I think she probably plays soccer. I'm just like writing down all these things. I don't know why Calabasas is coming up. She looks like she lives in Calabasas. I'm just writing all these things down. And again, this is my first time doing it. And I'm, kind of being like almost jovial with it, like not really sure how to take this seriously. And, then this strange sensation come up where I'm like, she looks like the kind of girl who doesn't even have like nails. Like she doesn't like get her nails done or anything. Like it's like she doesn't have nails almost. And so I wrote that down, and, then it was my turn to read it to my partner, and I read it out, and her face just like got huge, and she's like, whoa, the no nails thing. She literally chews off her fingernails. And, yeah, it's interesting. You got like the volleyball and the soccer thing, because she's actually been like going back and forth of whether she wants to play one or the other. So it was like the weirdest things that came up. And sure enough, she was from Calabasas. And so I was just like, whoa, like I was literally just being what I thought was judgy, like almost, like not even taking it super seriously. And so, once that happened, it really kind of electric jolted me of like, no, this is like a legitimate practice. Like people really have these heightened skills and this heightened ability to read energy, read consciousness, whatever that case is. And I say that just to like hammer in the point, like I'm just a regular schmo. Like I've not ever dove into this space other than, the curiosity I have in it. And so after I had that experience where I was like, dang, like the chances of me getting those things about this person were like next to no way that that would have happened. And so it just kind of made me realize the true nature of like everyone really does have the ability to go and learn how to do this. So then again, when I saw your step, I'm like, this is so cool that you offer these courses and this ability for people to really tune in and tap in. Digressing from my journey there, have you heard of the telepathy tapes?
I have. I have not listened, but I can tell you I saw so many videos of people talking about it, and I was just like, I already know telepathy exists. There's so many times that, I mean, we can think about people, or we can, like for instance, with my husband, I'll say something in my mind, or I'll say it out loud, and I'm like, no. He's like, what are you even saying no to? I'm like, you didn't just say something to me right now? He was like, no, but that's freaking me out because I was literally just saying something in my head. I was like, well, I heard it. He's like, "Get away from me, that's crazy." But yes, I have heard of the telepathy tapes and how, um, I believe it was a mom, right? And she could communicate with her special needs child, or is it, in a sense of that awareness of being able to communicate with nonverbal, people, and that is 100% legit and valid, and I have seen it. I have actually, done a lot of work, even with pets, right? It's the same thing. You can communicate with your pets with telepathy. And it's interesting to know that we can do that. But yes, I have to really dive into that. But it is very interesting concept to really open up your mind to. And I just want to say that I loved that you said curiosity. Your curiosity for things, because that is the key to this work, being curious and always staying curious and open-minded, because that's what it is. It's about learning, finding out things, and just really going with the flow. So I was just like, oh, she's like curious. It's like my favorite word.
Love that. I truly am. I mean, that's exactly why this podcast exists, is just like help people kind of like get excited about it and understand their true nature more. Because for me, this is true nature. This is like we have been so shut off as a society around the world of being connected to ourselves and have been taught that there's beings and gods and things above us and not part of us, and that we have this separation and that we're just kind of like these helpless beings, and that's just so not true. Like we're powerful, and we're like smarter than we give ourselves credit for. And when we listen to our bodies and we tune in and we stop taking the things that pharmaceuticals and, things like the fluoride and toothpaste that kind of just like shut off your pathways and then basically make you lame, to your gifts, we're just not reflective of who we really are and what we're really capable of. And so for me, that it's that curiosity to kind of like start peeling back the onion layers of like what our ancestors were doing. Like there's a reason, this can get totally nerdy here, but there's a reason that we have these massive, incredible structures around the world, like pyramids that are lined up perfectly with the stars. And, there's things like astrology and all of these other topics that exist for a reason. And we've been so disconnected from that and ourselves, over the past generations, that for me, it's like, how do we go back there? How do we get back into being in tune with ourselves and realize like the power of what we really are capable of doing? I laughed a bit when you brought up the communication with our pets, because I totally, ever since listening to the telepathy tapes, I like will sit in the living room with my dog before I go anywhere. And I'm just like, okay, in my mind, I'm leaving for a little bit. You're not abandoned. I'm coming back. I may bring you a treat, like just trying to see if you'll understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely a factor. Oh my gosh. As someone gets, like, really kind of into this, where do you suggest that they start? Of course, there's people like you that exist that, can do full-blown courses and classes, but, like, for people who are just like, "I'm curious," but not necessarily ready to dive into, like, an instructional thing, where do you recommend that they start to tuning in?
Books. Books, 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 books. I could talk about books for days.
Do you have any favorites?
Yes, I will always praise this one book. I absolutely love Penny Pierce. I don't know if you've read any of her books.
No.
He has 2 amazing books that I always tell people to start out with when you are just trying to dive into this journey and really try to understand energy, intuition. So she has The Intuitive Way, which is literally like a workbook, a guidebook that teaches you little prompts and exercises in there for yourself to really work. And then you have frequencies, and that is going to teach you about the different frequencies, our frequencies, other people's frequencies, understanding how plants have frequencies, our animals, any living species has a frequency. And I think it's very important to understand those two and put them together. So I always recommend The Intuitive Way and Frequencies by her because those books are very easy to follow, easy to read and understand. She doesn't use all these big giant words that you got to go look up. It's very easy to read, and it's just I found it to be very I don't know, it was very good for me to kind of follow through those guidelines, and it helped me along the way for sure.
I will hyperlink those for anybody listening in that's like, "Ah, I gotta write these down. Don't worry. I'm gonna hyperlink them for you. Thank you for the recommendations." Always love a good book. I am a total nerd about aliens, just really quickly. So I always try to slip this in every episode. I know it's nothing to do necessarily with our space, but here that we're talking about. But I would love to know because you've done so much work with so many different people from different backgrounds. Has that ever popped up, like the topic of aliens? Do you believe in them? What do you think about them?
100% believe in them because I've had my very own experiences myself from very young, actually. So, yeah, it's definitely a topic that pops up a lot. For me, I always go back to this story from when I was a child. My mom's dad used to live in the countryside in Puerto Rico. So it's very like, desolate, right? There's no other homes really. It's just very quiet. You can hear almost a pin drop at night. And I have this memory of being a child. I was about 5, 6 years old, and I remember having this little blip of not remembering, like, what happened to me? I don't know. And I would wake up in the morning and I would wake up with my feet dirty. And I would wake up with these little, like, I would call them itchy balls, but they're like these little spiky things that you get on the, when you walk in tall grass. And you can only get it when you walk in tall grass. So I didn't understand why I was waking up with this. And I would tell my mom, I don't know what's happening. Like, why is this happening to me? And the next day, it's clean sheets, new nightgown, same thing.
Wow.
Don't know what happened. But I do have bits and pieces of memories of things, of seeing these beings, these little people, right? That's what they look like, little people with big eyes. And I can't account for some time that was literally missing. I do remember being shown very weird and odd things of experiments that were being done with animals in a particular like space over there where there's like this big army base where it's known for having like the biggest satellite out there. But I don't know, it was just very odd, and I always think about that time. And then even doing like I think it's called the CE4 meditations. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
My goodness, you got to get into that. You have to look at that. And it's I think it's led by Dr. Stephen Greer. I don't know if you've heard of
Yeah,
his.
I just Googled it. It's Dr.
Yeah.
Stephen Greer. You got it.
Yes. So he has this practice. It's called, I think, a CE4 meditation where groups of people get together and you just call on the aliens, right? What you call on them for your highest good, and knowing that you are wanting to connect with these energies of love and peace. And that's what you would connect to. And I've done that and I've seen some things. And I can never really tell people like, "Hey, I saw this," and it's like, "Oh, yeah, right. We don't believe in that," right? But it's so profound where I literally heard them talking in my mind, telling me things, showing me specific weird things like connecting with the sun, and this is how they get their energy. And they don't really show up too much because I guess people aren't ready for it in a way. But I would see these little silver like objects kind of like shine and then disappear. It's like, boop, they're there and then they're not. So I've had many different experiences. I even had a picture and I was trying to find it for this, but of course, you can't find something when you're looking for it. So I remember taking pictures of the darkness in the trees. I don't know what led me to do that. This was like in maybe 2010, and I was just taking pictures. And I remember looking at the specific picture, and there was a creature in the tree, and it looked like an owl. But if you look close enough and you zoom in, it's no owl. Oh, I wish I had the photo, but you can see this creature in the tree. And I was just like, is that an alien? Like, do they follow me? Right. And my mom has very serious experiences as well growing up there as a child. She will recall many things happening to her. But yeah, it is a topic that comes up a lot. And I
Wow. When you're doing your work with different clients, does anything other than human former spirits come through?
Yeah, absolutely. So spirit guides are one. That's of a higher frequency, angelic beings. I have seen like I want to say peculiar, like I guess you could say like alien type beings, where I would see like giant insects, and it's odd, right? Because when I first started taking mediumship, this wasn't something that was opened up to me because I learned mediumship in a spiritualist way. And that kind of stuff wasn't really part of the whole concept of doing mediumship because it was based on evidence that you could only validate. So that form of work was kinda not really looked at in a way where it was like, "Yeah, that's not valid, there's no evidence there, so we can't prove that, and we don't really do that in this work." So it was frowned upon. So that's actually something I touch on when I teach, 'cause I like to let people know, like, as a medium, you are a channel. You are a channel, which means you can channel any and all types of frequencies. Now, if you decide to go down the road of doing evidential work and just reading spirits for people who have, crossed over, then that's great. But I want you to know to always keep an open mind that if you did decide to do like Akashic record readings or you want to dive into past life readings, you can definitely tap into some things and they won't always be a human spirit. So I know because I've had that experience. So I try to keep that open for students to understand that as a channel, you are just that. You're a channel and you're communicating with all different types of frequencies. So yeah, I've definitely had that experience a few times. And angels, angelic energies, but removing the concept of religion out the way,
Mhm.
understanding them as a frequency and an energy. Very, very big energies. Whenever I see them, they come in like ginormous. I can't even see them all the way because of how big their energy comes in. And it's very prominent and strong. And there's a difference there once you understand that awareness and pulling apart the energies to understand the signatures of each type of frequency. So it is very possible because I have definitely experienced it.
Wow. Yeah, I always am curious just about different takes on that because, my background working with psychedelic medicines from all over. I mean, I just spent a week in Mexico working with peyote with the Wiarika tribe that's there, and had an experience within that setting as well. And, as I'm working with different psychedelics in a very therapeutic kind of way, not recreationally, I experience these things that I'm just like, this, there's no way my brain could just like make this face up or this image up or this energy up. Like I have no frame of reference. Like I don't watch scary movies. I don't watch, twisted. I barely watch TV. Like I don't even know where this image would come from. And so I keep a very open mind and I'm always so curious, but because it's myself, I doubt myself. And so I always love to hear it from other people just to kind of like validate that, I'm not crazy. This is like a legitimate kind of thing. And this is something that people really experience. But also, I mean, just look at how big this universe is. Just the concept of us being alone or being the only type of energy or frequency or, vibration or whatever you want to reference us as is it's just not possible, just based on numbers alone. So I think we're finding that more and more as, physics and things and experiments are happening and there's constantly breakthroughs in science and the way that we're doing things. It's now not even like a storybook. This is like real legitimate stuff. So it's interesting how it shows up for people. One of the other things I would love to tap into with you is the tarot cards. I do want to dive in a little bit there, knowing the history on them, and for those at home who have never really heard of or used tarot cards. Their journey of where they've come from has been very interesting. And, it's not exactly known 100%, but it's thought that, they were playing cards initially, and then they kind of, moved throughout regions in the world, and, had these transformations, and now they're used as supportive cards and readings. Tell me more about that. Tell me how you use them, and how, your thoughts on them, and how you leverage them in your engagements with your clients.
Yeah, I love tarot. When I first started tarot, I was just like, okay, I don't know too much about this, but I'm just going to go in and we're just going to see what happens. And because I'm very intuitive, just looking at pictures and being able to feel into the energy of the people in front of me, I'm able to really give a message that is of guidance, right? And that's what these are for. They're here to help you and guide you. And a lot of people will be like, well, that's fortune telling. And I'm just like, this is here to help you with guidance and looking to answer specific questions within different areas of your life. And I feel like the cards tell a story, right? They tell a story. And, everybody will read them very differently. You have master readers who will read them verbatim with the book, with the whole meanings and all things like that. But I do look at them in the meanings, but I'm very intuitive, like I said. So I'm an intuitive reader, you can say, with the tarot. I do know every single meaning of every card, but everything represents something very different. So like you have cups, that will be the emotions, right? So anything that shows up for somebody can show me like, hey, okay, it shows me here that you're going through a really difficult time emotionally dealing with something. And then another card will come up and it'll say, "Oh, okay, I'll get the strength card." So that can mean many different things. But for me, that'll show up like we're working on our confidence right now. And right now it's showing me that you are having a difficult time looking back in the past and it's coming up for you. So depending on how it comes out, people will do spreads. Spreads are a different way of kind of getting specific information in which a person is wanting to know. For me, I don't do spreads, right? I just kind of pull the cards out. For me, it's like a 5 card thing. I'll look at it and spirit will be like, okay, next, cut the deck in half, do this. So I listen to spirit. I'm very spirit led in all the work that I do. And I just kind of go that way. And it tells the story. And it really does help people with that guidance, being able to answer questions, whether it be for work, right? I mean, certain things we kind of try to lean away from when it comes to like legal stuff, because we don't want to get caught up in things that will harm people. And it's just there to really help you and guide you in situations where you may feel stuck. So how do we get unstuck? How do we move around that? How can we help you with a better direction and what you can do? What are some choices? So that's what I feel like tarot does for people. And it is very helpful. I mean, I pull cards for myself every single week. I write, I journal, whatever I pull based off whatever guidance I need for that week. So it helps in a way of telling that story.
How did you learn so much about it? Is this books again?
For me, it was definitely books, but it was just experience. You need the experience. When I first started doing like readings and doing stuff like that, I did them for free for a very, very long time. Like I just did them because I was just like, oh, okay, people need help. Let me just see what happens here. And then eventually I started to realize, like, wait a second, there's something bigger here that's unfolding for me. Um, I kind of I guess the way I look at myself, it's almost like a spiritual, like, mentor at the same time where I'm really helping people just dive deep and lots of healing, right? Everybody knows that this work is about healing, whichever modality you look at, all comes down to healing. And, it just felt right for me to just look at books. I do have a few books that I, look at. I actually have there's an author here that I have. I love him so much. Matt, I don't know if you know him, but his name is, I think, Matt Oren. He's on TikTok as well. He wrote the Psychic Witch, but he has a great book. And just looking things up, watching videos. Like I'm just such a deep researcher on everything that I do that once I'm in, like I need to go all in. That's probably like the ADHD in me that needs to know everything about everything. So I go really deep in whatever it is that I want to learn. So books
Love
for
it.
sure and videos.
I just pulled him up too, so don't you guys worry at home. I will include him in the notes below. We always love a good book recommendation. When are you going to write your book? That's what I want to know, Erica.
You know, it's so funny that you say that because I mean, I have a few little like things that I put out on Amazon, little guidebooks, things to help people with my specific teachings. But I am working on an actual like book that I'm pouring my entire heart in, and it is going to be personal development, spiritual development. How do we open up to our abilities? And it's all going to come together with my story. How did I start this? What happened to me in between? All of my ups and downs. So I actually started really like getting into it. Like I have the chapters broken down, but you know, it takes time. This when something like this is being created, it doesn't happen overnight. It can take for as long as it needs to, but I really started to focus on that just like this weekend actually. That's so funny.
Yeah, well, let this be a sign. As you know, there's no coincidences. So this is a sign for me very publicly telling you, get that book written, girl.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. I love
we need it. Amazing. Well, I would love to have you tell us where people can find you and follow along and connect with you to learn more.
Sure. So I have a website. It's my name. It's ericabarretto.com. Um, I also have you can find me on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm like all over the place. My Instagram is Intuitive Universe 444. And it's pretty much across the board like that. So that's where you can find me. I'm all over the place. But if you want to like really find like my podcasts and things like that, I am on ericabarretto.com. That's where you can find me.
Amazing. And again, we'll hyperlink that to make it nice and easy for everybody. Thank you so much for sharing with us a little bit about your world and what you do. Again, like guys, as you probably know, I definitely do some vetting before I have people on, and she is legit in terms of teaching and being so in tune with ways to just help you be supportive as you're learning about this craft. So get over on her Instagram and give her a follow. I appreciate your time, Erica, and we'll see you again here in the future.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the show today. If you enjoyed it, please take a moment to hit the like button, share it with someone you love, comment below, and subscribe to the channel because it's free. It takes 2 seconds and it will make my heart super happy. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.